Oh my God. Oh my God. The tea is piping hot. Even the demonic forces of the PR team that literally fucking facilitated the smear campaign against Blake Lively are like, yeah, this guy sucks. Yeah, I did say that. That was funny. Okay. Oh, I wanted to cover
The latest.
I wanted to cover the "It Ends With Us" legal battle because there are some people who are related, Justin Baldoni specifically, that have come after, or at least have worked to do PR with people that have come after me as well, like Aiden Ross. Let's take a look.
On the legal bombshell that is rocking Hollywood, Blake Lively accusing her "It Ends With Us" co-star and director Justin Baldoni of trying to ruin her reputation. Well, now Baldoni is being
the PR group that Justin Baldoni hired to go against Blake Lively to change social media opinions against Blake Lively in the "It Ends With Us" PR battle that took place. Okay. That same PR company has also worked alongside Johnny Depp in the Amber Heard Johnny Depp saga. This is why a lot of people were like coming in here for the past couple of days and talking about how are you gonna do apologies or some shit, because they just completely have misunderstood my position on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard saga, which is fine. But I wanted to talk about this a little bit more because I think it's an interesting story. Does the fact that Blake Lively is unbelievably out of touch affect your perspective here at all? I'm struggling. No, it's once again another Hollywood story. So obviously, given that it's a Hollywood story, there are no clear good guys and clear bad guys. Okay. Most of the parties involved are bad to varying degrees. Let's take a look.
hit with a lawsuit that supports Lively's claims of a smear campaign. Diane Macedo is joining us, tracking it all. There are a lot of developments here. Diane, good morning.
There sure are. Good morning, Janae. So in this new lawsuit, Baldoni's former publicist is detailing an alleged plot to destroy both her reputation and Blake Lively's. And she says it came to light when she found those now infamous text messages on a former employee's work phone. This morning, a new lawsuit filed against It Ends With Us director and lead actor Justin Baldoni.
Come on.
What?
What are you doing?
Baldoni's former publicist, Stephanie Jones, is suing the actor and his crisis PR team for alleged breach of contract and defamation. The suit accuses the crisis team, including Jones's former employee, of scheming to bury and destroy co-star Blake Lively to protect Baldoni, and then blamed Jones for the smear campaign. The suit also alleges Jones discovered the scheme via text messages and other communications on that former employee's company phone. Baldoni did not respond to ABC's request for comment on the Jones lawsuit. It comes just days after Lively filed a complaint accusing Baldoni of sexual harassment and a retaliatory smear campaign. Baldoni's attorney has called Lively's allegations, quote, completely false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious.
I thought we were friends.
We are friends.
Since Lively's filing, Baldoni has been dropped by his talent agency. His podcast co-host left the show, and a women's organization just rescinded an award they had given him.
As your best friend, Lily, if you take him back, I will never speak to you again.
Now Jenny Slate, who plays Lively's best friend and Baldoni's sister in the film, is speaking out in support of Lively, saying, I commend my friend, I admire her bravery, and I stand by her side. And Slate is just the latest cast member to publicly support.
Isn't Blake Lively a weirdo? Yes, Blake Lively is also a weirdo. But it is clear that while Blake Lively is also a weirdo, so is Justin Baldoni. And Justin Baldoni hired a now famous a PR company to change the way that people perceived, or I guess like really amplify the way that people perceived Blake Lively in general. No perfect victims, but she's undoubtedly a victim in this scenario. People are biased against her due to the very smear campaign she's exposing. Why is she weird? She's just like out of touch Hollywood actress. That's it. She stole his movie about domestic violence and marketed it as a girly pop movie. Wait, I thought that's what Blake Lively did. Is that what you're saying? Once again, it is incredibly how do I describe this? It's overall a very silly back and forth that people will place a shit ton of investment into because one, it addresses certain cultural touch points like you know, a beloved female actress being ridiculed by serial propaganda coming from the online space, and also simultaneously, like, she herself has also been like out of touch on numerous occasions, and that's precisely the reason why you guys are repeating the exact same smear stuff that she's suing Baldoni about. Chatters are such simpletons, Jesus fucking Christ. There's a swoop doc in this, and Emily D. Baker covers it. A lot is up with Blake, but I don't know, Justin, based off of what I've read. It is an unwarranted harassment campaign by a serial sex pest male director.
Lively. Her co-star Brandon Scalar also shared Lively's complaint on Instagram, urging followers to read it and tagged her with a heart emoji. As for Lively's complaint, that's now with the California Civil Rights Department. It could take months to make it to court, so we could be reporting on this one for quite.
No, she didn't. They agreed at the start to do that. Please don't spread misinformation. So while filming the birth scene, Justin Baldoni practically forced Blake Lively to strip from the chest down, did not close the set while she was naked with her legs forced open. Anyone passing by could see her, and Justin brought his best friend to play the role of the OBGYN. When Blake wore a low-cut dress to facilitate breastfeeding and covered herself with the jacket, Justin asked her to remove her jacket again and again. I think it's like a lot of this is also about intimacy coordinators not being present on scene, right? That's what it is. So it's in some instances it's like a labor dispute as well. Blake Lively was contracted to promote the movie that way. Baldoni pivoted to make her look bad as a publicity smear campaign. Ofi Doki goes over the complaint. Baldoni is a total piece of shit. Why are y'all forgetting her weird ass getting married on a plantation? The smear campaign isn't the only reason people can't stand her. No, I like, if you're a Hollywood celebrity, you're most likely out of touch, and you most likely have done a bunch of shit that is like weird in the past. Having said that, in this circumstance, it seems like there was a... Did you just say intimacy coordinator? What the fuck is that? Yes, an intimacy coordinator is a prominent fixture in every fucking Hollywood production that features any sort of scenes of intimacy. It's a very normal part of the production process. Normally you're supposed to have a person that understands boundaries and makes sure that like the scene that is being depicted is as compliant as possible. We are talking about sexual harassment, not our life choices. Yes. It is to part the whole women bad, therefore why are you defending them? Woke simp mom. However, these Hollywood types usually have some bite. How do you explain that? Even though there are no good guys here, there are also no perfect victims, and misogyny is not all right. I mean, what do you mean? Like, if you're saying that people's attitudes towards Blake Lively is completely unwarranted, and that she hasn't done anything weird at all, and it's simply that people used, or people were duped into believing that because of the coordinated PR effort, they're not entirely correct on that front. However, real, like, former instances of Blake Lively being out of touch or whatever, or just being weird in general, does not make it valid to you know, put her in uncomfortable positions, especially where she's naked. You know? When Blake Lively wore low-cut dress to facilitate breastfeeding, covered herself with a jacket, Justin addressed. I mean, this is also court. This is also from her lawyers, so it's going to be obviously framed in a way that is as critical of Justin Baldoni and as pro Blake Lively as possible. Justin Baldoni's lawyer stated that the decision to hire a PR crisis manager, Melissa Nathan, stemmed from multiple demands and threats made by Miss Lively during production. According to TMZ, Blake Lively's demands included no more showing nude videos or images of women to Blake, no more mention of Baldoni's alleged previous pornography addiction, no more discussions about sexual conquest in front of Blake and others, no further mentions of cast and crew's genitalia, no further inquiries about Blake's weight, no further mention of Blake's dead father. All of this seems pretty reasonable, I think, and not all that crazy. I think the more interesting aspect of the story is how malleable the online space is, specifically Reddit and Twitter. Justin Baldoni and the PR company that he hired after Blake Lively implied, or Blake Lively alleged, that she was feeling uncomfortable. She was made uncomfortable by the way that Justin Baldoni was operating on the set is the more interesting aspect of the story for me, at least, because it's something that I have also talked about quite a bit. He knew that she was lining out an unsafe workplace complaint, and he went all in on the smear and the public square tactic. Yes, exactly. So that is the interesting story here, which is that while she has a valid reason to feel uncomfortable here and totally valid reason to demand legal recourse, Justin Baldoni's approach to the matter was to immediately go on this full-scale coordinated smear campaign to win the court of public opinion, many of which came from easily botted and incredibly brigadable platforms such as Reddit and Twitter. The only reason why I know this is because they openly fucking talk about the celebrations that they had behind the scenes, cheering how easily duped people were into gearing up against Blake Lively, into drumming up support against Blake Lively. Text message evidence shows Justin Baldoni allegedly sending his PR team a Twitter thread about Hailey Bieber as an example for their campaign against Blake Lively. Additionally, alleged texts reveal PR team celebrating the online narrative in his favor. Step back. That's excellent. This is what we would need. Hailey Bieber's history of bullying many women. Yes, I literally spoke to Melissa about this on the break about what we discussed last night for social and digital. Focus on Reddit, TikTok, IG. So are we in the clear now? Did we survive? We survived. All press is so overwhelming. We've confused people so much. Mixed messaging. It's actually really funny if you think about it. The narrative online is so freaking good, and fans are still sticking up for Justin, and there literally has been no pickup of those two articles, which is actually shocking to me, but I see this is a total success, as does Justin. You did such amazing work. Narrative is crazy good. So did you. The majority of socials are so pro-Justin, I don't even agree with half of them, lol. We can bury anyone inside of a Hollywood smear machine is the New York Times article that I found to be very interesting. Private messages detail an alleged campaign to tarnish Blake Lively after she accused Justin Baldoni of misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us. Now, the reason why I thought that this was interesting, specifically because the reason why I thought it was interesting is for two reasons. One, because Reddit and Twitter are publicly hailed by internal coordinated campaign, by the people in the PR company as like super easy to manipulate and super easy to drive public discourse, which is something that I've noticed and something that I've complained about quite a bit. The other reason why I think it's interesting is because within days, the group was working with Mr. Wallace, whose company, Street Relations, offers services ranging from public relations to more opaque crisis management. He is a somewhat enigmatic figure with very little digital trail, but court records show that his clients have included Paramount Pictures and the YouTube personality Aiden Ross. And in a since deleted LinkedIn profile, Mr. Wallace described himself as a hired gun with a proprietary formula for defining artists and trends. The August 6th premiere brought the first wave of press coverage questioning what had happened during the filming. A Hollywood Reporter story speculated about a rift between Miss Lively and Mr. Baldoni after TikTokers noticed that the two stars didn't pose for photographs together and that Miss Lively and other cast members didn't follow Mr. Baldoni on Instagram. The unfollow situation is what everyone is pointing at, seemingly that something is much bigger under the surface as to why they would all unfollow. We flagged the Jed and his team as well. Miss Nathan had already been speaking to other journalists according to text messages. When Miss Abel wrote to her August 4th that I'm having reckless thoughts about wanting to plant pieces this week of how horrible Blake is to work with, just to get ahead of it, Miss Nathan replied that she had spoken off the record to an editor at the Daily Mail. She's ready when we are, Miss Nathan spoke. A flurry of articles followed the Hollywood Reporter piece. Many made it seem as if the only rift was over creative control. Some journalists had gotten wind of complaints about Mr. Baldoni's behavior, but none of the most serious ones were published. He doesn't realize how lucky he is right now, Miss Nathan texted Miss Abel. In other exchanges, Miss Nathan claimed that she had kept allegations against him out of stories, writing in one message that major news outlets were standing down on HR complaint. So are we in the clear now? Did we survive? We survived. All press is overwhelming. We've confused people so much. Mixed messaging is actually really funny if you think about it. Meanwhile, an online backlash against Miss Lively was already underway. It is impossible to know how much of the negative publicity was seeded by Miss Nathan, Mr. Wallace, and their team, and how much they noticed and amplified. On August 10th, this is the part that's important. There is already a bunch of stuff that's like that existed in the ether about Blake Lively being an out-of-touch person, and they greatly amplified that to shift the attention away and to basically create sympathy for Justin Baldoni. Do you understand? On August 10th, Kjersti Fla, a Norwegian entertainment reporter, uploaded to YouTube a 2016 interview in which Miss Lively snapped back when Miss Fla commented on her baby bump and remained testy for the rest of the conversation. Miss Fla titled it, "The Blake Lively interview that made me want to quit my job," and told the Daily Mail that it's time that people behaving badly in Hollywood or anywhere else for that matter gets called out for it. After publication of this article, Miss Fla on Sunday contacted the Times and said she had not participated in any orchestrated effort to harm Miss Lively's reputation. In an email, she said that she had resurfaced the 2016 interview independently this past August. It was neither coordinated nor influenced by anyone associated with the alleged campaign, she wrote. It wasn't the first time she had posted a video aligned with a client of Miss Nathan. In 2022, in the midst of Mr. Depp's legal battle with Miss Heard, Miss Fla posted clips of her interviews with the actor tagged #JusticeForJohnnyDepp. During the film rollout, Miss Lively was also accused of being insensitive about domestic violence. The official promotion plan instructed the cast to focus more on the uplifting aspects of the movie than on abuse, and to embrace the floral theme. Her character has a floral shop. In several appearances, she never made reference to domestic violence at all, and she faced criticism when her Betty Boo's beverage company was promoting the film, given the role alcohol can play in abusive relationships. So do you see? There are valid complaints. There are valid complaints. But then those valid complaints are amplified and highlighted in an effort to move the attention away, in an effort to basically drive public discourse in a certain direction that favors Justin Baldoni and ridicules and criticizes and bullies and humiliates Blake Lively. Having said that, however, those are still very valid complaints. If you were in that situation and like Justin Baldoni was like, "This is how you have to fucking promote the movie," you'd be like, "Fuck off. This is a movie about domestic violence. The fuck do you mean we got to do floral patterns? Fuck off. This is a movie about domestic violence. The fuck do you mean we have to promote alcoholic beverages?" Do you understand? Do you get what I'm saying here? Having said that, however, obviously Blake Lively does have a valid complaint against Justin Baldoni, especially if she was made to feel uncomfortable in these scenes that are, normally supposed to be very carefully crafted. That's it. Seeing that blowback, the text message show Mr. Baldoni and his PR team decided instead to highlight survivors of domestic violence in his interviews on social media. More criticism came when Miss Lively said in an interview that Mr. Reynolds, who had no role in the film, had helped rewrite a scene, prompting snarky comments about the actress leaning on her husband and speculation that he violated the writer's strike. It is unclear exactly how Mr. Wallace operated. There are references in emails to social manipulation and proactive fan posting, and text messages cite efforts to boost and amplify online content that was favorable to Mr. Baldoni or critical of Miss Lively. We are crushing it on Reddit. This part was what I saw. Mr. Wallace told Miss Nathan, according to a text she sent to Miss Abel on August 9th. Blake Lively was following an agreed upon marketing plan? Yes, but Blake Lively is also not a fucking robot. That's my point. Like, I have never in all of my time doing coverage assumed that like a whole ass adult woman who is what, like 40 plus years old, is actually simply a helpless, hapless fool and is going along with the previously agreed marketing plan, and that she has no fucking say in the process. You will not be able to convince me that Blake Lively is completely blameless in this process because of the manipulative tactics utilized by Justin Baldoni in this smear campaign. Do you understand? She's 37. My bad. Okay. Yeah. As a 37-year-old and a producer on the film, I think you are discounting the amount of feedback that she has. And it's always like weirdly infantilizing. But ultimately meaningless, because the harms that she has withstood, if her allegations are correct, which I have no reason not to believe them, is the far more consequential aspect of this story. The next day, one of Ms. Nathan's employees texted, "We've started to see the shift in social due to largely Jed and his team's efforts to shift the narrative. And socials are really, really ramping up in his favor. She must be furious." It's actually sad because it just shows you have people really want to hate on women. The female PR crisis managers recognizing misogyny as they weaponize it against Blake Lively and feeling some type of way about it is kind of funny. I'm sorry. It's like, damn, people really fucking love to shit on women as we are, as we're basically using this. The CIA didn't fall off. Those monsters went to work for Hollywood PR firms. When a TikTok sleuth started asking questions about Mr. Baldoni, Miss Abel texted that this girl's on a very dangerous crusade. "We flagged the Jed and his team for more serious action on the social side." Throughout the text exchanges, Mr. Baldoni encourages the PR team, sometimes flagging social media posts for them to use. On August 15th, he proposes flipping the narrative on a positive story about Miss Lively and her husband, using their words against them. Other times, he appears to vacillate, seeking assurances about the tactics being deployed. When he notices a tabloid article critical of Miss Lively, he sends a worried text. "How can we say somehow that we are not doing any of this? It looks like we are trying to take her down." On another occasion, he wondered whether they were deploying fake bot accounts on social media. "I can fully confirm we do not have bots," Miss Nathan wrote, adding that any digital team would be too intelligent to utilize something so obvious. Mr. Wallace's operation, she wrote, is doing something very specific in terms of what they do. "I know Jamie and Jed connected on this. Mr. Baldoni, Miss Nathan, and others on the team have claimed in their text exchanges that Miss Lively was using her own public relations team to create bad press about Mr. Baldoni, but cited no evidence to support those claims. By mid-August, the team was reveling in the damage to Miss Lively's image." The official promotion plan said to focus on uplifting aspects of the movie than abuse under their contract, but he started to focus on the abuse to manipulate people into thinking he was a good guy to point out the abuse. He was the director and studio head. Everyone agreed on the contract. You can't just violate the terms of the contract, even if it might be a dumb move to market as an uplifting story. Come on. Come on, dude. I don't understand your point. My point is, wait, what? There are no perfect victims. Why the fuck are we blaming her for her own sexual assault because she's a producer? Are you guys okay? Absolutely zero people are doing that. I'm certainly not doing that. And I've reiterated the point that it is still a very valid claim across the board. But that has nothing to do with like her also saying, I am going to promote the movie by focusing on the cheerful aspects of a movie about domestic violence. some chatters were, you weren't. I haven't seen any chatters doing that, but I'll ban them if they are. Everyone is now saying chat is doing that, which is once again a instance where you see one chatter and then you yell about that one chatter, and the overwhelming amount of chat is about this one singular chatter that did that. Your take is not correct here. Hasan, stop acting like you know what it's like to have a boss. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Why are you dumbasses so fucking stupid? Blake Lively is an infinitely more powerful and more prominent figure than someone like myself. Shut the fuck up. Shut your stupid ass up. I know, I get it, okay? The fuck are you talking about, dude? Blake Lively is like married to Ryan Reynolds. Literally is a fucking prominent Hollywood actress. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Chat behaving this way is giving me flashbacks to the Amber Heard trial. They are incapable of nuance and understanding. I know. Chat gonna turn on you one day. You'll be in the middle like most of us, but we'll be labeled far right. Calling it now, brother. You haven't been here long enough if you think that this isn't, this exact same principle has not happened a million times over. What's going on right now is me yelling at chat for doing that same thing that they've done time and time again. It doesn't fucking matter to me. Like, simply stating that Blake Lively is not a hapless fool in this regard does not mean that it was appropriate that she was sexually harassed and undermined on set. It is completely unacceptable, and she does have a valid complaint. Having said that, however, if you're talking about like the marketing components, and her marketing the movie in the way that she did, yeah, she's not like a doughy-eyed newcomer star onto the scene. She's fucking Blake Lively. She was the executive producer of the fucking project herself. Like, what are we talking about? Like, you're making it seem as though she had no capacity to promote the movie in a way that she saw fit, and that she was simply victim to the whims of Justin Baldoni in this regard. Like, I think that none of that still justifies what has happened on set, or her allegations that she made towards Justin Baldoni about the misconduct on set in general. But like, Jesus Christ, you don't have to, everything doesn't have to be fucking black and white, dude. The narrative online is so freaking good, and fans are still sticking up for Justin. There literally has been no pickup for those two articles, which is actually shocking to me. You did such amazing work. Narrative is crazy. So, yeah, what they ended up doing was basically highlighting a lot of the bad choices that Blake Lively also personally made, or rather, former instances of her being out of touch, to basically massage public narrative against Blake Lively, in an effort to ensure that there was no mention of any number of different valid allegations that she had made against Justin Baldoni. That's the point. I'm saying that in spite of her being out of touch at different moments throughout her career or whatever, she's still valid for feeling uncomfortable on set. That's it. It doesn't change that. Like, her being weird doesn't change that at all. Okay? So when you hyper focus on me talking about some of the mistakes that she made in this process, and then being like, no, you're wrong. You're supposed to fucking say that she is a hapless fool, like a child, and has no fucking self-control, or has no say in any of the process whatsoever, and that she was actually manipulated and I don't know, promoted the film in the way that she did exclusively because she's a perfect victim is stupid. And it also causes you to not understand the full scope of how the narrative was shifted against her. And it also undermines, I guess, from your aspect, like the validity of her claims. It's not. It doesn't undermine it for me. Okay? On August 16th, Miss Nathan shared the Daily Mail article headline, "Is Blake Lively set to be canceled?" with references to hard-to-watch videos and tone-deaf promotional Q&A. "Wow, you really outdid yourself with this piece," Miss Abel responded. "That's why you hired me, right?" Miss Nathan replied. "I'm the best. We men have to step up." A brand marketing consultant, Taraki, produced a report in August for Miss Lively that concluded she had likely been the object of a targeted multi-channel online attack, similar to one against Miss Heard, Amber Heard, and that it was damaging her reputation. The report did not identify who was behind the attack, but by analyzing the entirety of Google search index for Miss Lively's name, it found that 35% of the results also included a reference to Mr. Baldoni. This was highly unusual given the length of her career, the company said, and suggested that the media environment was being manipulated. A separate report by Miss Lively's hair care company, Blake Brown, concluded that the social media onslaught had also included a negative effect on that business. Her product line, which had launched in August with record-breaking sales, estimates that it lost as much as 78% in sales. With the recent arrival of It Ends With Us on Netflix, Mr. Baldoni has begun another round of promotion and messaging. In an interview on Access Hollywood, he said, "There's never an excuse to hurt a woman physically or emotionally." He added, "We men have to step up and figure out how we can be better allies." I heard the products suck, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the fucking hair care product is like. What you could have had in further girly pop news: someone check on Hasan the Hun. Dua Lipa and Callum Turner are engaged. I'm happy for her and him, okay?
Blake Lively lawsuit is just another instance of pop culture where I wish so badly that a single lawyer was in the room when any of these news agencies, articles, whatever, were writing about these filings, okay? Because all of the information is so not understanding the legal process, anything, that all of the questions that I have that I'm having with my lawyer friends are not being answered by those, obviously, by those news outlets. So I'm having to dig on my own, and I just want to share with you guys what has been keeping me up for 3 days. As we know, anyone can put anything in a complaint. Doesn't have to be verified, doesn't have to be 100% truthful or correct. As
I did mention this as well initially.
I see all the time in civil litigation.
Especially in civil litigation. Like, you can just, you can put anything in there. Having said that, however, like the fact that all the fucking cast members that unfollow Justin Baldoni, things of that nature, make it seem like there was obviously something that happened on set that caused many of the cast members who are defending Blake Lively to feel this way.
Specifically, okay? Typically,
like it gives more validity to the claims being made, at least.
That you want to basically use to...
Yeah, but that was happening before all this. No, you're wrong. The legal complaint came recently, but that doesn't matter. What happened on set happened during the production process.
Verify or prove up your claims and statements that you make in an initial complaint can only be discovered by you after you file it. So like, that's why we don't have obviously a requirement that you attach evidence to every complaint. There are exceptions to like complaints that are alleging, breach of contract. You have to attach the contract. There are exceptions. But if you want to allege, for example, employment discrimination, harassment, retaliation, some of the allegations, some of the claims that Blake Lively's filing, and I'd call it a filing for a reason, okay, you'll see why. Every time I see that a complaint was filed, I don't necessarily immediately assume that all of it's true. Of course. But, okay, the fact that text messages were included and attached in the complaint, and they are verified text messages, like based on what these lawyers, okay, put with their full body chest, like in this filing, in the footnotes, it says, hey, we got them through discovery and civil subpoena, which I'll get to in a second. Those are damning, right? Those are damning. And they wouldn't fabricate, like those aren't fabricated, okay? Those are text messages. If you take every statement that's just Blake Lively's, on behalf of Blake Lively's, out of the complaint and leave only the text messages and like the dates and times, it's damning as hell. From my opinion, as an attorney in California, which is where she's alleging these employment claims, okay? So let's get to it. Hold on. When I saw this, I said, oh, there's no caption, meaning that typically at the top, at the title, it has to have the court, okay? Especially California, it'll say like California Superior Court, County of Los Angeles, County of Orange County, County of Riverside, wherever, okay? So this obviously wasn't filed yet in an actual court. It's also not signed by the attorney at the very end. There's like no signing page sheet. So it's obvious that this was given to news outlets as like a, hey, we just filed this, not with a court yet, but with a department called the California Civil Rights Department, the CRD. There are a bunch of employment discrimination statutes, civil statutes that protect employees that you cannot file a lawsuit in a California court or a federal court on, okay? Until you file something with the CRD, and the CRD gives you what's called a right to sue notice, okay? So they basically say, yes, you can go sue now. All right, like, yes, we don't have to settle that. Like, you can go sue, okay? And oftentimes people go to California Superior Court too fast, and the court's like, hey, you gotta go get your right to sue notice, girly. Like, sorry, okay? So what Blake Lively did here is doing the first step, which is proper for what she's trying to sue on, which are, again, you know, a bunch of California government code, labor code sections that are going to allow her to recover, but she has to file with the CRD first. So CRD actions, like when you file them, they're not like official complaints to the CRD. Those are not public. You can't search a docket for those. So this is where this comes from. But like, it was obviously provided, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, yeah, like provide this complaint that you filed for sure. But okay, it's fashioned as the complaint that they would file, okay, once they get their right to sue notice, which I'm not sure if they've gotten yet. They filed on Friday. I would be shocked.
Where the fuck is the news coverage here? Let's
Wow,
continue
interesting
with
how this has developed over time.
You guys, we have a Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively It Ends With Us update. This situation is absolutely crazy because we were talking about this back in August and now we are talking about it all over again. There's so many opinions going around the story and I'm going to get into everything new that has come out since Blake has filed her complaint against Justin. Since my last
slow news day is not. I mean, this is a larger story. This is a larger story about how Twitter and Reddit can be brigaded and cause, especially when paired up with like a competent PR agency, with mainstream media, with mainstream press. It's a story that like can very obviously change people's perception. Okay. That I think is more important, at least from, you know, the way I'm seeing it. Dude, stop saying rivals, buddy. Shut the fuck up, okay? I'm not going to just dive into it on my own, okay? It kind of relates to you and the hate campaigns you received. I mean, there is something interesting about the PR firm that worked with Aiden Ross, especially considering that, like, if it's with Aiden Ross, that means it's working with Stake. There's a lot of these Twitter blue checkmark accounts that literally directly get paid by Stake. And I have noticed that Twitter did play a big role in the way that people perceive me as a bad dude in general. You know, we've often joked about how Stake has a contract clause where they say you have to say fuck Hasan.
Video, a lot has happened in this situation as it has completely taken over the internet and everyone is chiming in to give their opinions. There's tons of industry support for Blake coming out, and Justin, well, it's not looking too good for him. The public seems pretty divided though when you look at the comments of those reporting on the situation, but I truly encourage everyone to read the full complaint before you make judgment on this particular situation. But I will break down what's going on a little bit and then get into some of the big updates on this case. On Saturday, it was made public that Blake Lively had filed a lawsuit against her It Ends With Us co-star and director Justin Baldoni, alleging inappropriate on-set behavior and a retaliatory smear campaign. Blake's claims include unwanted physical contact, exposure to explicit materials, and unprofessional comments. She asserts that after voicing concerns and requesting safeguards like an intimacy coordinator, Justin and producer Jamie Heath hired crisis management experts to damage her reputation through manipulated media narratives. Justin, through his lawyer, has denied these allegations, labeling them as false attempts to harm his image and repair hers. And the public has been like, well, she ruined her own reputation during the press tour. she shouldn't have promoted the movie the way that she did. But in the complaint, it's clear they're trying to say that Justin and his crisis management team used all of their connections to try and use Blake's downfall on the internet to their advantage to protect him from HR complaints about him being brought to light and canceling him. And also in regards to how she promoted the film, it is said in the complaint, and there's also documents that back this up, that Sony wanted the cast to promote the movie a certain way, and Justin Baldoni went and did his own thing. But Sony did tell the cast what to say.
Like Sony wanted the movie to be promoted a certain way, and Justin Baldoni didn't agree to that. Like, it leads me to believe that, like, you know, Blake Lively probably should have done the same thing. You know what I mean? When people say Baldoni owns a production company or any number of different things, you also fail to consider that, again, Blake Lively herself is also a very famous person in her own, and a relatively powerful Hollywood player in her own way. I would go so far as to say she has way more motion than fucking Justin Baldoni does, as a matter of fact. Literally the least important part of the story you're focusing on again. I'm not. I'm just I'm very stubborn and putting my foot down in this situation because people are making it seem as though this was also, you know, because of the deliberate coordinated smear campaign, that this was not like something that was of importance at all. Who the fuck is Justin Bologna? Exactly.
And Blake and the rest of the cast members did exactly that. Do I think that they should have listened to the backlash and kind of switched things up once they saw that the public wasn't responding well to the way that they were promoting it? Yes, but she didn't do that because she was trying to be insensitive. It's what the studio wanted them to do, to shy away from the DV aspect of the movie. Now, in the complaint, messages were referenced from Justin Baldoni's PR crisis team to his publicist, where they talked about the fact that 4 major news outlets were standing down on the HR complaints about him. On or around the same date, Miss Nathan directly engaged with several media platforms discussing the issue of the HR complaints made against Mr. Baldoni while on the set of the film. On August 15th, Miss Nathan texted Miss Abel that Daily Mail hounded me, re-HR complaints. She stated that Daily Mail is not running any content about it, continuing, Jen, this went so well, I'm effing dying. I have to call you later in a bit and tell you how this went. It was genius. So, okay, we have the 4 majors standing down on HR complaints. I think we are fine on that bit. An interesting fact is that Justin's PR crisis manager, Melissa Nathan, her sister is Sarah Nathan, a journalist, and this is referenced in the complaint that she wrote 2 articles about this situation in page 6. It's these 2 articles here. Truth Behind It Ends With Us feud rumors Justin Baldoni made Blake Lively uncomfortable, sources say, and Blake Lively approved final cut of It Ends With Us amid feud with co-star director Justin Baldoni. Texts between Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel referencing Melissa Nathan's sister were referenced in the complaint, saying, on August 9th, 2024, Miss Nathan indicated to Miss Abel that she was on the phone with her sister, Sarah Nathan, a journalist at the New York Post and contributor at Page 6, and remarked that Mr. Baldoni's religion should be taken out from media coverage. She went on to state, and mostly the misogynistic. Later the same day, Miss Nathan texted Miss Abel a link of an article on Page 6 by Sarah Nathan entitled Truth Behind It Ends With Us feud rumors Justin Baldoni made Blake Lively uncomfortable, sources say, stating, I knew she would keep uncomfortable. On August 9th, 2024, Miss Abel and Miss Nathan discussed suppressing 2 stories that report Miss Lively was uncomfortable on the set. Miss Nathan texted, all press is so overwhelming. We've confused people, so much mixed messaging. It's actually really funny if you think about it. Now, since this news all broke, Justin has been dropped by his talent agency, WME. His Voices of Solidarity Award, which honored men who have advocated for women, has also been rescinded, and Vital Voices made a statement saying, the Voices of Solidarity Award honors remarkable men who have shown courage and compassion in advocating on behalf of women and girls. On December 9th, 2024, we recognized Justin Baldoni with this award. On Saturday, December 20th.
It's ironic because, like, I feel like if you didn't go ham mode and try to control the narrative through this fucking smear campaign, I guess like I guess there would still be an inevitable backlash from the complaints, the valid complaints that Blake Lively was going to make. But I feel like it could have been covered up better from his end.
21st, we learn through news reports about a lawsuit brought by Blake Lively against Mr. Baldoni, his publicist, and others that is disturbing and alleges abhorrent conduct. The communications among Mr. Baldoni and his publicists included in the lawsuit and the PR effort they indicate are alone contrary to the values of Vital Voices and the spirit of the award. We have notified Mr. Baldoni that we have rescinded this award. His Man Enough podcast co-host Liz Plank also quit. She wrote on Instagram, "I'm writing to you today to let you know that I have had my representatives inform Wayfarer that I will no longer be co-hosting the Man Enough podcast. Thank you for trusting me with your hearts and stories, for holding space for mine, and for making the show what it was. I will miss you, the listeners, so much. I love what this community created together with every fiber of my being, and that's because of you. As this chapter closes for me, I remain committed to the values we've built together. Thank you for being here, for trusting me, and for being by my side for the last 4 years. We all deserve better, and I know that together we can create it. I will have more to share soon as I continue to process everything that has happened. In the meantime, I will continue to support everyone who calls out injustice and holds the people standing in their way accountable." Colleen Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, also made a statement on her Instagram story in support of Blake, writing at Blake Lively, "You have been nothing but honest, kind, supportive, and patient since the day we met. Thank you for being exactly the human that you are. Never change, never wilt." Now, this isn't too big of a shock given that she unfollowed Justin around the time of the film's release and did a ton of press alongside Blake. But speaking of support for Blake, the cast of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants have also come out in a joint statement on Instagram in support of Blake. Alexis Blundell, America Ferrera, and Amber Tamlin posted on Instagram saying, "As Blake's friends and sisters, for over 20 years, we stand with her in solidarity as she fights back against the reported campaign waged to destroy her reputation. Throughout the filming of It Ends With Us, we saw her summon the courage to ask for a safe workplace for herself and colleagues on set, and we are appalled to..."
Please explain what he did. We don't know 100% with a certainty of what he did. All we know is what are the complaints made by Blake Lively, which is that she was made uncomfortable on set numerous times. Other people on set were also made uncomfortable by Justin Baldoni's behavior, and that intimacy coordinators that are supposed to be on set at times when there's like nudity in scene were not there, and studio execs were in the room for scenes where Blake Lively was naked when she wasn't supposed to be there. Creepy shit. And then that's the original complaint. But that was, people are speculating, the reason why Justin Baldoni went on this counter PR campaign by hiring this group that had worked previously with Aiden Ross to manipulate public perception against Blake Lively. It's the same group that also ran a campaign against Amber Heard as well during the Johnny Depp civil suit.
To read the evidence of a premeditated and vindictive effort that ensued to discredit her voice. Most upsetting is the unabashed exploitation of DV survivors' stories to silence a woman who asked for safety. The hypocrisy is astounding. We are struck by the reality that even if a woman is as strong, celebrated, and resourced as our friend Blake, she can face forceful retaliation for daring to ask for a safe working environment. We are inspired by our sister's courage to stand up for herself and others. For anyone seeking more information or engaging in the important conversation online, please read the full legal complaint in the investigative reporting by Megan Tooley, Mike McIntyre, and Julie Tate for the New York Times. I will add that in addition to those who spoke out in support of Blake, that both Sony and SAG-AFTRA, the union representing roughly 160,000 actors in Hollywood, voiced their support for Blake this week. Variety reported, "We have previously expressed our support for Blake in connection with her work on and for the film. We fully and firmly reiterate that support today," a Sony Pictures Entertainment spokesperson tells Variety. Further, we strongly condemn any reputational attacks on her. Any such attacks have no place in our business or in a civil society. Now, Justin's publicist, Jennifer Abel, made an alleged statement on Facebook about all of this. Dumois posted the screenshots, and before I read them, just so everyone is on the same page here, Jennifer Abel has been Justin's longtime publicist. She doesn't specialize in crisis management, so they hired Melissa Nathan, whose PR agency is called The Agency Group, also referred to as TAG in the complaint. This is what Jennifer Abel, his longtime publicist, said about the situation.
This is a pretty good
I never thought the day would.
This person did a pretty solid job of covering this story, by the way. Like, respect. This YouTuber, props to this fucking YouTuber. Holy shit.
Would come when I need to defend myself with my own peers. But this certainly has been an interesting and devastating, quite frankly, couple of days. So here we are, but here are the facts. No, I was never subpoenaed. I found out my private text messages and emails were included in the complaint after I received it on Friday night, and then New York Times contacted me an hour and a half after receipt. They had already reviewed the 80-page document and had questions prepared, and apparently also received thousands of pages of documents with our correspondence that we never saw. So it was clear this was a coordinated effort, but nothing we haven't seen before since I've been working in talent PR for over 15 years now. I recently left my previous firm, at which I was still with during this campaign, with a team who also participated in the campaign and a boss who oversaw, and who had access to my work emails and work phone, so you can deduce from that what you will. What the cherry-picked messages don't include, although not shockingly as it doesn't fit the narrative, is that there was no smear implemented, no negative press was ever facilitated, no social combat plan, although we were prepared for it as it's our job to be ready for any scenario, but we didn't have to implement anything because the internet was doing the work for us. Sure, we talked about it, contemplated if we needed certain things, flagged accounts that we needed to monitor, worked with a social team to help us stay on top of the narrative so we could act quickly if needed, and yes, we rejoiced and joked in the fact that fans were recognizing our clients' heart and work without us having to do anything but keep our heads down and focus on positive interviews for our client.
She literally was like, listen, yeah, we people were just like so primed to hate Blake Lively. We didn't have to do much. I don't agree though. I'm certain that they probably, like, I feel like a lot of those T accounts do unironically operate like they're like, we saw this with the Tory Lanez situation too. I think a lot of these fucking T accounts are mercenaries. And they will very easily play along with these kinds of narratives. And you only need to buy out a couple of them for the rest of them to follow suit, especially if there's a lot of likes and engagement that you're getting. You know, when paired up with the misogyny tourists, as you know, people who just love when a woman's getting shitted on. They don't even care about the subject matter. They just get in a tremendous amount of satisfaction from women being shitted on, and they join in on the fun.
Show, we sophomorically reveled and again joked privately to each other about the internet's feedback to the women whose team was making our lives incredibly difficult over the course of the campaign. I'm human, the long hours, months of preparation on top of my day-to-day scope. It felt good to see that although we were prepared.
What? She's a Nepo baby trying to fix her reputation. See, she's a Nepo baby. She's in the wrong here. Really no need to defend her. Like, she's in the wrong in what? Her being a Nepo baby or just like weird is something that I also have personally agreed to. But she's not in the fucking wrong. What do you mean? If her alleged complaints are true, which I have no reason to believe that they're not, then she absolutely is not in the wrong at all to make such complaints. What the fuck?
We didn't have to do anything over the top to protect our client. Incredibly difficult, you say? In what way? Funny you should ask. I was notified at the start of the campaign that the opposing team had been planting horrible stories about my client as a failsafe if my client did not comply with the demands set forth for the campaign, which is why we brought on Crisis, as it's not something that I do. My sole job was to put together interviews, screening opportunities, and speaking opportunities for my client in support of the film, a standard scope of work. I did my job. Now, what kind of woman would work against another woman who was a victim of all the things being claimed? Thanks for asking. After reviewing the evidence, facts, hard proof that countered every single thing that was being claimed and demanded at the start of production, I made a choice to stand by my client of almost 5 years who have dedicated his life to the equal treatment of others, especially women, who had no incidents of negative treatment of others, and who had a wonderful community and team at Wayfair who all held the same moral fortitude and lived their life accordingly. As representatives, we all have to make that choice, so I did that to the best of my ability and felt good about our efforts. Is my client perfect? No. In fact, he says that he's not perfect so constantly to the point I tell him he needs to be less self-deprecating because it could be taken the wrong way. Are Blake's feelings valid? It's not my position to say or speculate what she was feeling in these moments that she claims, and I would never slam a woman for speaking her truth, but at the end of the day, if it's
except for this entire fucking counterattack that I played a role in, that I'm currently defending in this statement.
it's not the truth and there is evidence that proves otherwise, then as a representative, I have to do what I feel is right as well. And I'm going to explain to you guys how these texts got out, because you guys, Justin was hit with another lawsuit. Yes, him, Jennifer Abel, his publicist, Melissa Nathan, and Wayfair were all hit with this suit. Basically, Justin's former publicist, Stephanie Jones, is suing for breach of contract in a new lawsuit that links her dismissal to the alleged smear campaign against Blake Lively. Basically, Stephanie is a publicist and founder of Jones Work LLC, which previously represented Justin and his production company, Wayfair Studios. She was basically Jennifer's boss. Jennifer was the former vice president at Jones Work and was the point person for Justin, and she allegedly conspired to undermine Stephanie. In fear of things coming out about Justin, Jennifer, as we know, brought on Melissa Nathan, who is the crisis PR specialist. Allegedly, though, she did this without telling Stephanie. Stephanie is alleging that Melissa and Jennifer allegedly orchestrated a smear campaign against Blake Lively to shift public blame away from Justin, and that the two of them conspired to also damage Stephanie's reputation, steal her clients, and set up their own PR firm. She is accusing Jennifer of allegedly downloading confidential Jones Work documents and that she began setting up her rival agency while she was still employed.
Okay, this is
revealed
sick.
Melissa and
This story is fucking awesome. This story is, I didn't even realize that this is how they arrived at the text messages. Oh my God. Oh my God. So Justin Baldoni hires this PR person, and then another person that is working under the PR person starts conspiring against the original PR person that was hired for the overall production company. And then that person sues her former employee revealing text messages that show direct coordinated smear campaign efforts against Blake Lively. That's amazing.
Jennifer discussing their plans to damage Stephanie's reputation, steal Justin as a client, and get rich. When Stephanie was made aware of the situation, she fired Jennifer, but by then the complaint says it was too late. The damage was already done. And we seem to find out how all these texts have been revealed to us. As the complaint says, Abel and Nathan's covert takedown and smear campaigns were revealed in black and
I'm willing to bet that the original PR lady was also a fucking monster in her own right, by the way. If she's a fucking high-powered Hollywood PR person, she's got to be a vulture. Like, once again, whenever we're talking about Hollywood, any sort of instance, any sort of situation that involves Hollywood celebrities, just know that there is probably not a single person that's like definitely good. Okay? It's just varying degrees of evil versus less evil. Amazing.
white on Abel's company-issued phone following her termination, which Jones' work forensically preserved and examined in detail after receiving a subpoena for the phone's contents. Jones discovered the breadth and intensity of Abel and Nathan's duplicity from these records, including that Abel was actively encouraging other Jones' work clients and employees to leave Jones' work while Abel was still employed there. So here are some of the texts that are included in her complaint. We have messages between Melissa and Jennifer. Melissa says to Jennifer, "I know, and once you're gone, we will be on accounts together and make really good money and be happy. Let's just keep it steering that way, and you take this effing client and never talk to her again, I swear to God." The complaint also showed Jennifer allegedly talking negatively about Justin Baldoni, writing, "I can't stand him, he's so pompous. A men's retreat during release, is he crazy? And being off the grid for the summer because he's just so overworked, like calm down, you're not that important and nobody gives an ish how hard your life is. He doesn't need a retreat, he needs to be humbled. When this movie flops, he's going to try to blame every person around him for it. He may fire us because even if we put together an amazing campaign, it's not going to change the fact that he's so unlikable and unrealistic as a leading man. There's no..."
Oh my God. Oh my God. The tea is piping hot. Even the demonic forces of the PR team that literally fucking facilitated the smear campaign against Blake Lively are like, yeah, this guy sucks. Oh my God. I burned myself on this piping hot tea. God damn.
No chemistry with him and Blake. You and I both know she will be resistant to promote this movie, and press will be reluctant to do anything with Justin without Blake being part of it. So there, those are my thoughts. In the complaint, they also included messages where Jennifer is also talking about a scene from the movie. The complaint reads, "Months earlier, Abel had voiced the same opinion in connection with a filmed kissing scene between Baldoni and Lively, which was described to Abel as so gross and revealed that Abel was well aware of Lively's on-set complaints about Baldoni's behavior. She wrote, "It's so cringy, his face. Blake was probably grossed out too."
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So they knew. They knew the whole time. They fucking knew the whole time, and they're still like, oh, but it doesn't matter because people organically hate Blake Lively. Okay. That's evil, man. That is fucking, that's, oh my God. Yo. White women scare me. I'll just say it again. I'm so scared of white women. This is why I will never say anything mean about Taylor Swift. Why women are so powerful is crazy. I'm in awe. I'm in awe, and I'm also terrified at the same time. It's like, it's wild. This is kind of exactly how the DNC and Democratic consultative strategies work too. Oh no, absolutely.
And Jennifer replied, yeah, and filed a cease and desist. Stephanie is even claiming that Jennifer and Melissa allegedly made these fake websites and planted seeds about her that were negative, much like what Blake Lively is claiming happened with her. And this is just so crazy and so insane. And I will keep you guys updated on what is going on in this case, because truly every day, every hour, I swear there is a...
I will always defend white women. Always. I will always defend them. I'm scared. I'm sorry. Okay.
New update in this situation. But as of right now, that is what has been said. That is what has come out. I love you guys so much. And I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.
This is crazy, bro. Two things can be true at once. Justin could have been harassing Blake, and Blake could have also been a mean girl there at the end. Yeah, I think like one of the biggest fuck ups from Blake Lively's side, because she is like an out of touch rich Hollywood person, is literally going along with the studio's demands that like a domestic violence movie is supposed to be fucking promoted in this like cheery ass aspect, which ironically these women that worked for Justin Baldoni knew exactly what the real complaints were, which was sexual harassment on set, and absolutely nuked Blake Lively and utilized that silliness, utilized that like tone deaf behavior demonstrated by Blake against her, like wielded it as a vicious weapon. It's especially shocking because they kind of knew what the fuck was going on, which those text messages revealed. That like they were aware that there was a valid complaint being made by Blake Lively, and they were like, "Well, this is my client. I don't give a fuck. This feminism shit is over." Oh, dude. I mean, once you get a touch of money, it's so fucking jover. Okay, now I understand what you were saying. This is the part of your point I didn't understand earlier when you were staring at that chatter. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. That is fucking scary, dude. Holy shit. Imagine being like, I know that this person has valid complaints against my client, but that's my fucking client. So I'm just going to literally utilize the unearthed misogynist forces against this other person who I, woman to woman, understand probably has a valid complaint. That's wild shit. That's scary, man. You were describing a defense attorney. Lolo literally does that. Yeah, I understand that. But it's like a defense attorney. I feel like there's more validity to a defense attorney than a PR person behaving like this. A defense attorney automatically is fighting against incredibly powerful systems. A defense attorney is trying to secure the most favorable terms for his client. And it can mean, literally mean life or death in certain instances. At the very least, it means freedom and how much restraint or how much time you will spend behind bars devoid of freedom. So that's a more understandable position. Like when you are, when you're a PR specialist, you're literally just going, Yeah, I know. Like, there's no attorney-client privilege in that regard. Where you're just basically going, honestly, yeah, my client's a piece of shit, but I'm going to do everything in my power to fucking make his enemies, regardless of how valid their complaints may be, look like fucking assholes. I might have missed this. Where's the evidence of a valid complaint? I just saw people making fun of him being cringy and saying that his face is gross. No, those weren't just random people saying his face is cringy and gross. Those were his own fucking PR people saying, I totally understand why there was a complaint that Blake Lively made. He's so fucking gross. Like, what they did as a part of their professional job is very different than their own personal perspective. No, I know you're not wrong, but a lot of sex crimes defense literally revolves around having a woman at the defense counsel cross-examine his witnesses. Is fucked up and plays at the misogyny of all Americans, but that's literally the job. Yeah, the function of a defense attorney is to have the state and the law prove his client's guilt beyond reasonable doubt. If not for defense attorneys, a lot of innocent people would end up in jail. And even with defense attorneys, innocent people still end up in jail. PR, on the other hand, there is no large, powerful state that has a monopoly on violence, forcibly removing you from society. You know what I mean?
A new lawsuit tonight in that bombshell Hollywood scandal. Justin Baldoni, director and co-star of the hit movie It Ends With Us, is being sued for defamation and breach of contract. It comes just days after his co-star Blake Lively accused him of sexual harassment and a smear campaign. Baldoni denying the allegations. Now Hollywood A-listers are taking sides. Here's Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman.
Tonight, that new lawsuit in the scandal rocking Hollywood. Just days after actress Blake Lively filed an 80-page complaint against her It Ends With Us co-star and director Justin Baldoni, accusing him of sexual harassment and a retaliatory smear campaign, the actor is facing more backlash.
I thought we were friends.
We are friends. Baldoni's former publicist, Stephanie Jones, is now also filing a lawsuit against the actor and two of her own former employees. Jones alleging they sprang into action scheming to bury and destroy co-star Blake Lively to protect Baldoni. Their plan was covert, deliberately concealed from Jones. Lively, in her own complaint, alleges that Baldoni and a producer showed her new videos, discussed sexual conquests, and criticized her body and weight. At tonight, Lively's co-star showing their support for the actress. Jenny Slate, who plays Lively's best friend in the film, telling Today.com what has been revealed about the attack on Blake is terribly dark, disturbing, and wholly threatening. I commend my friend, I admire her bravery, and I stand by her side. And Brandon Sklenar encouraging his followers to read Lively's complaint.
Like, the very fact that every other person involved on set in some capacity is taking Blake Lively's side over Justin Baldoni's side is, you know, I think not insignificant in terms of the complaints being launched against Justin Baldoni, even before the smear campaign, or what potentially caused this a chain reaction for this smear campaign counter messaging initiative to kickstart. So at the heart of this, there is a possibly legal and or possibly very valid complaint being made against Justin Baldoni. And virtually every single person involved in the process, from all the co-actor, like all the other actors on set, down to the fucking union, like every single person involved on the in any capacity has sided with Blake Lively over Justin Baldoni, whereas the public opinion against Blake Lively was far larger than Justin Baldoni. And as a matter of fact, people were even defending Justin Baldoni. Even we got duped at the Fear M broadcast. And I mean, I think, like, I can't really remember what we landed on, but we were basically at the end of it, we're being like, well, I don't really know. I don't really give a shit because it's Hollywood shit. And I never really give a shit ultimately about Hollywood things. But the extra, like the unimaginable amount of like fuck Blake Lively content that was out there certainly played a role, you know? But again, I am still, I guess, like like I said, the most interesting aspect of this is the tea. Not necessarily the tea, sorry, but the very fact that the very fact that public opinion is so malleable.
Writing, this film is meant to inspire. It is not meant to once again make the women the bad guy. And to this mass of lawsuits and
You said he was too good to be true and that you have a bad feeling about him, if I remember well. Yeah, I mean, he was giving off like weird male feminist vibes. That's the thing that I remember about him. You guys were mostly at his side until you found out that he hired Johnny Depp's PR team. What's a male feminist vibe? It's a product of an older era. I don't think it exists anymore. But back in the day, there was like a lot of dudes in like the 2014 to like 2020 where there were a lot of people who were like, I'm a male feminist. Like it was a performative, over the top attitude demonstrated by its peak millennial core is right. Exactly. Where there was like a lot of performative feminism coming from men. Which is ironic because like right-wing shitheads say that about me probably, when in fact most of the rad femmes online fucking despise me and think I'm like the worst man, the worst version of misogynistic man, because I'll sometimes say things like, well, I don't really know about Blake Lively, you know? It seems like she is a little out of touch. And then people will get fucking very mad about that. They'll be like, oh, dude, you're a fucking piece of shit. Many of those rad femmes are also swerfs in general. Sex work, exclusionary, radical feminists. But yeah. It's like how Jason was acting on the days. Yeah, but Jason was memeing. He's not like a fucking, he's not even, he was joking. I've met multiple said rad lib rad femmes. Yeah. My husband has said that he thinks you're faking it for your audience, but he doesn't watch you like I do. I always try to out with facts. Yeah. It's funny that people think I'm faking my support for women, but then also if you ask a lot of these like prominent rad femme accounts online, they say I'm like the grossest misogynist pig of all time. And I think part of that is because, yeah, of course, as a guy, I do have some misogynistic tendencies every now and then, and I actively try to work against it to the best of my ability, but you know, sometimes I fuck up and say shit. But I don't know. I still find it. They just dropped the whole you went to a brothel and that's the only thing they run with that someone sticks. Yeah. Well, that too. Never understood the moral panic about what celebrities owe to us as people. Separate the actor from the person. Blake Lively being a mean girl is none of our business. Yeah, good luck explaining that to people who have a parasocial desire to endlessly seek out what the fuck Blake Lively is doing, or what any celebrity is doing, really, for that
Andrew,
matter.
you can now add another one. The attorney for Baldoni and the crisis PR team that's accused of, quote, trying to bury Blake Lively. They are alleging that confidential information was used against them and that anyone involved in that will be, quote, sued into oblivion. Andrew.
All right, Matt Gutman, thank you. We want to get a legal perspective on all of this, and for that, let's bring in Dave Ehrenberg, state attorney from Palm Beach County, Florida. Dave, as we just heard, this has now escalated with a former publicist of Justin Baldoni filing a lawsuit alleging breach of contract. So what's the latest?
Andrew, good to be with you. You know, it's a preemptive strike by the publicist, Stephanie Jones. She wants to get out in front of the story. And it is interesting because she was she's like the only person involved in this whole matter who was not sued by Blake Lively. And that leads people to believe that she was involved in getting those very damaging messages from her team over to Blake Lively. And so there's a lot of infighting here, a lot of maneuvering. And this to me is a preemptive strike, but it does look like.
I love how you pretend to be non-white when you're clearly white. Account created 2024, 12/15. Following says 12/15. When have I said that I'm not white? Even earlier today, I talked about how, yeah, all the time. What happens when you listen to me talking about whiteness like literally 2 hours ago, I was talking about how I'm white. Like, were you just banging your head against the wall? Okay, I'm nervous now that you pulled my chat up. Why are you nervous? Seems like you think that I've been doing this a lot. I'm confused.
Like there's some connection between Stephanie Jones and the Blake Lively.
You do try to act like you're Middle Eastern at times, not gonna lie. Dog, I'm white and I'm Turkish. What the fuck are you? These two things are not at odds with one another. It's kind of at the fucking heart of my argument about whiteness being a socio-political construct that is completely kept, that is constantly fucking changing. Is bait? I swear he's baiting. This is shocking. I'm confused by everything.
Team. And so now she's suing the people who also are being sued by Blake Lively.
And another big question in all of this is how did...
It's like Trump saying Kamala was black when it was convenient for her. I know. That's the funniest part about it is like, you know, Kamala is both black and Indian. I am a white man. Yeah. A white man whose name is Hasan. I'm not pretending to be Middle Eastern. Like, I grew up in Turkey. I'm Turkish. The fuck? I'm still white. I think it's in your mind, I think it's at odds, those two realities. While you were watching Hollywood News, the right has brought back anti-Irish racism in an effort to do better infighting. I'm not getting into that.
Did Lively's team obtain those text message exchanges?
Right. And that's why I think that they came from Stephanie Jones. Stephanie Jones does not deny it. She just says that she complied with a subpoena. Now, in California, you can issue a pre-litigation civil subpoena, which is unusual. This is not law enforcement, not a criminal action. It's a civil action. But to gain information to determine whether a lawsuit should go forward, you're allowed in some circumstances to send a subpoena. But what's interesting is that Stephanie Jones seemed to quickly respond to the subpoena and gave it all up without going to court to try to block it. And it looks like she didn't go tell the individuals who used to work for her that she was giving up the information to Blake Lively's people, and then they all got sued except for Stephanie Jones.
And with that all said, will it be admissible if this goes to court, and is this likely to get to court?
I think it's unlikely for there to be a trial. Now, this is not a lawsuit yet. This is an administrative action that's a precursor to a lawsuit in California. I do think that this thing will lead to a lawsuit, but I think it will settle before it goes to trial. And as far as whether
this is what was normally supposed to happen. If Justin Baldoni hadn't like concocted this like counter narrative PR campaign by hiring these fucking vultures who it seems kind of understood that there was validity to the claims that Blake Lively was making, but obviously they were like, yo, this feminism shit is over, dog. You know? Yo, fuck this feminism shit. Once I get a fucking little bit, once I touch that band, my first bando, I'm done with this feminism shit. And basically what would have happened in this process is Blake Lively probably would have made a valid complaint in a court of law. And depending on whether she wanted to actually pursue this with like some kind of like PR battle as well, and like a long drawn out PR battle, it basically would have turned into a legal case in civil litigation that goes quiet after some time, only to be resurfaced once if Justin Baldoni did the same antics ever again, and then they would bring this shit back up and be like, remember when this happened? But like he Streisand affected it. You know what I mean? He ended up fucking Streisand affecting this by having this like smear campaign, which Blake Lively understandably is now has now investigated. And the only reason why we even know that there was a smear campaign that was coordinated is because her fucking current publicist literally snuck from under her previous publicist, Justin Baldoni's previous publicist, and snaked Justin Baldoni's previous publicist to steal Justin Baldoni as a client, despite the fact that they also hated him. What a crazy situation. That's a weird angle to take to cover this for sure. Baldoni did fuck it up. No, I'm saying that like normally I think a lot of these weird, awful sexual harassment shit that happens like more frequently than you would think in Hollywood. But in most circumstances, because every single party involved has a lot to lose, they don't want to fuck the boat, or they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to fuck the bag up. So they just quietly deal with it with with civil proceedings that oftentimes end up with like some kind of agreement, some kind of like some kind of financial compensation. And then behind the scenes they're like, that's a bad guy, don't work with him, right? I feel like that's usually how it happens. There's like this quiet shunning that takes place behind the scenes. They will pack it up. Here, I'll give you a fucking example. What's his face that raped his students by stealthing them? His brother's an actor too. Fuck. He was at NYU. He was a teacher at NYU. Come on, there's got to be one girly pop in here that knows what I'm talking about. The guy, James Franco. What happened to James Franco? Like everybody kind of knows what happened to James Franco. But it wasn't like a long drawn out legal procedure, but he fell off, right? He doesn't actually get a lot of play in Hollywood. Part of the reason why is because, again, he did a shit ton of like, he's kind of blacklisted because he did a shit ton of awful things to his own students. Yeah, he stealthed his own students in acting classes. Didn't he? Am I crazy? See, this is what I mean. There isn't like There wasn't like a massive fucking, there wasn't like a lot of media coverage around it. It's like quietly packed up. Quietly fucking packed up. That's normally how this works, so that you are oblivious to it, so that you don't know about it, but they just like quietly stop working. Okay. And that's probably what would have happened to Justin Baldoni as well. And I don't think anything that Justin Baldoni did reaches that same metric of like, you know, straightforward sexual assault, as far as I understand. Maybe there's other allegations in the complaint I didn't see, but basically, and this isn't to say Justin Baldoni did nothing wrong. I'm just saying that the severity of James Franco's like crimes are higher even. But stealthing is when you remove the condom or you damage it intentionally. Exactly. When you remove the condom in a without telling your partner, without prior consent. But my point is, the point that I was trying to make is that under other circumstances, this is usually what happens. They just like quietly blacklist you behind the scenes. They don't want to make a big scene about it. And I think that also creates an environment of protecting abusers, usually, especially if they're very powerful. Harvey Weinstein is a great example of this, where it's like a known secret, I guess, in the industry. But if you're outside of the industry, you have no idea that Harvey Weinstein is like a serial rapist, right? Like, I fucking had no clue. But it seems like other Hollywood celebrities did. And yes, chat, stealthing is rape. Oh my God. Sorry if you didn't know. I shouldn't get annoyed. But Justin Baldoni would have quietly packed this up. Justin Baldoni would have quietly packed the situation up if he just went to court, and then he might have gotten like blacklisted or whatever. But now, because of all of the counter propaganda that he implemented in an effort to win over the public, in an effort to vilify Blake Lively, now this is a much larger story, and now he's further cooked.
These messages would be admissible? Yes, because they apparently were lawfully obtained either through a subpoena or because Stephanie Jones owned these messages because she owned the phones. She was the boss and had lawful right to them, and then she gave them over to the plaintiff here. So yes, this thing would be a very damaging thing if it goes to trial. That's why I don't think it'll go to trial. It's in everyone's interest to keep this out of the public's eye.
And Dave, these lawsuits expose a number of claims about coordinated smear campaigns on behalf of Mr. Baldoni. Crisis PR executive Melissa Nathan allegedly texting a publicist working with Baldoni, quote, "You know we can bury anyone." And Lively's
Benign Burger, thank you for the 20 gifted subs.
Lawsuit alleges Nathan was working to reinforce negative stories about Blake Lively. Is any of this illegal?
20 bones.
It is not illegal, Andrew, to criticize.
It's not illegal, but it is, I mean, defamation, especially if there's like financial, if you can tie it back to like revenue loss, like, yeah, then there is like civil litigation can award, civil litigation can award you money. And I think that's what she's gonna do. And it's ironic because like maybe her product was dog shit, and that's why there was a 78% drop off in her hair care products. But like now you can make a legal case that it wasn't the product that was fucking dog shit. It was actually the smear campaign that was coordinated. So GG's on that front too. You know what I mean? Like, that's the hardest part to prove though. I mean, it depends.
Size your enemies. It's not illegal to put out a PR campaign to promote yourself, and even to trash people you don't like, as long as it's factual, as long as it's not defamation. And there's no defamation claim here from Blake Lively. But
I think one day there will be a larger article about how in the post-Me Too era, Hollywood top dogs in the PR firms actively weaponize misogyny against victims of like sexual harassment, like female victims of sexual harassment, sexual assault, and the like. many years down the line, you'll watch a long, comprehensive New York Times report on the matter, because it has happened in a lot of cases at this point. I think like it's so common that it feels like it's got to be a little coordinated. You know what I mean? Because it's just like it. I think one of the greatest examples of like right and wrong was with Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. Because like in that circumstance, there wasn't even much that you can point to on Megan Thee Stallion's side that made her even anything but a perfect victim. And you rarely ever have a perfect victim, right? If you have an imperfect victim, you can at least bully them and humiliate them and change the public attitude. And I genuinely felt like I was going crazy the way that people were talking about Megan Thee Stallion for the crime of being shot by Tory Lanez. Like it made no fucking sense. She had even gone so far as to try and defend Tory Lanez after the fact because she didn't want Tory Lanez to, withstand criminal prosecution. So it's crazy that like even in spite of all that, there are still a shit ton of people that were, and still to this day, I think Megan Thee Stallion sucks. So I don't know. I mean, that one is like, because Blake Lively has a media profile for a very long time and has been kind of a dickhead, whatever, in the past. It doesn't matter. In this case, it's like obviously being weaponized against her in an inappropriate manner to make the person, to make Justin Baldoni look better, right? Amber Heard with Johnny Depp. Amber Heard has very valid claims against Johnny Depp, but then there is this mass fucking smear campaign against Amber Heard, and the public sentiment is dramatically shifted in favor of Johnny Depp, who, is a horrible person. So it was crazy how like black and white that situation was presented to the public. And I think that it was, once again, a targeted, deliberate, concerted effort to vilify Amber Heard, or even use like some of the instances where like Amber Heard wasn't exactly a great person either, right? So the more you have like an imperfect victim, the easier it is to vilify the person. And I think it's and basically that's what happened with the bro. His finger got almost cut off by Amber. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, have you changed your perspective on Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp? No, I think that both. My attitude on Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp was always that I don't like either of these people. I think that it's Hollywood assholes in general. But people get so fucking mad when I say this, and I think more people will inevitably arrive at this conclusion. The Meninists get mad because Johnny Depp is a pure soul who was a perfect victim. And then the Radfems get mad because they're like, you're not unconditionally offering support to Amber Heard. But like I said, yeah, Hasanabi followed the trial. There's so much, and I didn't realize he invested time in it. I barely covered it. But ultimately, yeah, this is Amber Alert. I think that there was also a deliberate, coordinated PR effort to vilify Amber Heard way further. And that very clearly was successful. What is this? Baldwin also owns the entire rights to the second movie, and whether or not these allegations are legitimate don't matter because the intention is to get him to settle. Her and Ryan have so much money, way more than Justin, and whether or not they're true, it will result in a settlement. Yeah, I think it will result in a settlement. Yeah, the PR campaign made a situation where normally you would look at abuse, even like mutual abuse, which a lot of people would get triggered for me even saying that. In normal circumstances, the party that is physically more powerful is supposed to automatically be seen as the villain. That was a first, I think, where the party that is physically capable of overpowering their partner was seen as like the pure victim. And that, I think, played a tremendous role. Like the PR campaign played a tremendous role in making it seem like Amber Heard was the abusive bad person in the situation. Contrary to how people would tackle an issue like that normally. Anyway.
But what is improper is if you retaliate against someone who files a claim for sexual harassment. And that's what Blake Lively did. She filed a claim for sexual harassment. She's saying that these other folks retaliated against her, that Baldoni and his team retaliated. That would be a no-no, even if what they said was accurate.
All right, Dave Ehrenberg, state attorney from Palm Beach County, Florida. Dave, we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Behold, the sacred union that unites two souls into a lifelong journey. On the 2nd of December of 20...
Deleted JCS video, newlyweds telling each other what happened. What happened in this? Why did this get deleted?